All right, Cole here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life with another trip to our own personal desert island where we will be dropping off the instrumental post-rock band Solas. We're not staying. They're staying. We're leaving them on their own, but to ensure they don't get bored or kill each other, we had enough space on the boat to take a few items. 3 games or books, depending upon where your feelings lie on that. 3 horror movies and 3 records. Now I gather you're going to be doing 1 each, yeah?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Cool. Well, first things first, gentlemen, start with you, Chris, and then Andrew, and then... Wait, is it Jack or Jeff?
It's either.
How are you guys doing?
Good,
Well,
good.
never expect a straight answer from Jack over anything.
I am just sabotaging more.
Yeah, well, I think we're all good, man.
Yeah. Like you said, still breathing, so it's all good.
And how have you been keeping busy and sane during these, well, trying times, the last couple of months of lockdown craziness in the UK?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of... I think we're all working from home still, so I'd probably be going a lot crazier if I was on furlough or just not working at all. And kind of still having sort of access to instruments at home definitely helps keep me sane. At least sort of, I get that sort of half-hour break at work where I'll just sort of pick the guitar and still riff on it for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and started, keeping to a routine as well. Still exercising as such. Pretty much watched everything on Netflix like everyone else has.
I'm just doing as much nothing as possible. It's literally my only aim for this period because I didn't have much nothing time before, so now it's nothing but nothing.
Got to make the most of it, man.
Yeah.
You're not
Jack,
sick of nothing yet.
Like gigs. So I imagine like the nothing of playing gigs is godsend to you right now.
It's pretty great. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do when things come back to normal, though. I'm going to be shell-shocked. It's going to be bad. Yeah.
Right, gents, we get started then with your choices of either games or books. Chris, you want to get us started with your choice then?
And it's just any game or book at all.
Yep, whichever. Basically, what aren't you going to get bored of?
I guess probably I'm going to go with probably one of the first original Resident Evil trilogy games, just because for me that was the idea of survival horror. I remember playing the first one on a fucking Sega Saturn. So I think I was like 13 at the time, and I just remember a friend at the time just playing this game, and I was like, what the hell is this? I was like, why isn't the camera moving? And I thought it was really shit at first, and then he lent it to me and I played it, and I was like, the whole idea of being able to hear something but not being able to know where it is freaks me the fuck out. And it's still to this day one of the only games that's ever actually scared me. And then you get older and you're like, this is brilliant. I've not played any of the reboot ones, but for me, the original Resident Evil, any of those first 3 games are amazing, and I can play them so many times and still not get bored.
I love that you played it on the Saturn of all consoles. Funny enough, that is where I first played it as well. I didn't think anybody owned a Saturn, but it turns out you did as well.
It's so insane. It wasn't even mine, it was my mate's, and it was just... I look back and it's one of those things that I don't think anybody of a younger generation even remembers anymore. Like, people remember the original PlayStation, the N64, even the things like the Master System, the Mega Drive. Mention Sega Saturn and people are like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. I literally don't know.
It's
Too young.
The machine that killed... Oh no, wait, did the Dreamcast come out?
Yeah, Dreamcast is the one that, effectively killed Sega in the hardware market.
I think the Saturn probably started that process, though.
Oh, yeah.
I think so it's like Mega Drive, Saturn, and then the Dreamcast, and then Sega were pretty much dead.
It shows the iconic nature of that game that you're the second Desert Island Dregs now we've done in the last 2 days with very different people. The last people were a director and a producer of a horror movie, and one of them chose Resident Evil as well. So it shows, when you got one game, that's what you choose.
This is it, man. I mean, like I say, I keep wanting to try and play the reboots that have come out, but I'm just like, in my head, I don't know whether it's like a loyalist thing or nostalgia or whatever, but for me, it's just, I have to have that static camera view now. It's not Resident Evil. Even people who talk to me about Resident Evil 4 being the best one, and I like it, I just don't love it.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Okay. Andrew, your choice.
It's funny you should mention Resident Evil, because I literally just completed the Resident Evil 2 remake.
Cool.
Like just a few days ago, and I absolutely loved it. It reminded me how much I actually loved the original. But I've got to say, I'm a huge Final Fantasy VII fan. Back in 1997, like that game took over my life, and I replayed it so many times. So this year, obviously, the remake came out, and I was always going to hate the remake, like always. But I actually thought it was okay. Like, it wasn't as disappointing as I thought it would. There were some bits that I really didn't like, but then some bits that I really did like. And it's actually made me remember again how much I loved the original. So yeah, I'm definitely going with Final Fantasy VII on that one.
Well, it's a guaranteed time sink. That's something you can certainly while away the hours with.
Oh, definitely.
There's not really anything to add there. It's Final Fantasy VII. Again, it comes up a lot on these. There's Island Dregs because it is often people's, if not their favourite game, at least their favourite Final Fantasy game.
Of course.
Jack, you got one?
I'm going to go for one that is a book and a game, The Witcher.
Oh, excellent choice.
I knew you were going to say that the minute you said book and game.
Yeah. I could have said Lord of the Rings, but they were a bit shitty. Yeah.
I was thinking, what's a book and a game?
Right, interestingly, Jack, and I can't remember if I told you guys this, but like the other day, what with the single coming out, I just thought I'm just going to Google Brexit to see if anything else comes up. And lo and behold, Brexit comes up as like a really weird, it's like a subreddit style thing for some kind of Witcher erotica website.
What? Really?
This is like
all of our
only result is like a Witcher erotica website, and I was like,
"What do with Brexit?"
Well, we could have that song as like background music to any kind of erotic scene that's happening.
Yeah, the live video.
Yeah. Oh, good idea. Yeah. You can start us off on that one.
Send me the link, Chris.
Well, now you've got an interesting story to tell when people ask about the origins of the name.
Yeah, it's like people. Oh, is it to do the breakfast? No, The Witcher.
So, Jack, which Witcher though game would you choose?
I'll be honest. I've only played the third one, but I've been told to, get a life and play the other games. But yeah, it's just the most. I think it was the first most expansive kind of fantasy kind of game that I've really, destroyed my social life with to that degree. It's pretty great. It does all the stuff the books does fairly faithfully, and yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool.
Get swords and stuff. It's good.
You must also. What about the TV series? Have you watched a Netflix series?
Yeah.
You like?
Yeah. Overall, I think it's a good reflection of what most TV adaptations are for books. Really, it looks good, but the substance maybe isn't quite there. But still, Henry Cavill's got a lovely bottom, so.
He's got more than a lovely bottom, man. He's seen the full body.
A lovely top as well.
Right, brilliant, guys. So, who would like to give us a little bit of detail into the background of Solars, and specifically how a unit like yourselves, group of gentlemen, come together?
Who wants to take this one?
That's you.
That's you.
It's not me. Okay.
I think so.
So me and Jack used to play in a like kind of straight rock band years ago, called Midnight Convoy, and I sort of around 2013 first went to this festival called Art Tangent, and I kind of knew like 2 bands that were there, maybe 3, and I was just absolutely blown away by all of this instrumental music. Like there was like 1, maybe 2 bands with singers all weekend, and it was just absolutely blew me away. And I remember coming back and saying to these guys, "Oh, we should try like an instrumental song just to like have an intro to the set we had." And we wrote this song called Broken Machines, which we always really liked, and me and Jack were definitely completely on board with it.
That's probably what we were doing in this band, more or less, just with a different.
But I remember we kind of tried to push the idea of doing a little bit more of that in the old band, and our singer and guitarist, who was the same guy, I think had quite a lot of pushback off it, which being a singer you can completely understand. But I always kind of try and do more, so there's always kind of this push and pull over musical direction. And then in about 2015 he quit the band, so me and Jack were like, well, this is our opportunity, let's do it. And I was in touch with both Andy and Dave, because my old metal band used to play with their old metal band. So I'd asked Dave if he wanted to start jamming, and we did. We played a gig about a year later, and Andy was in the crowd, and sort of came up and sort of said, "Do you guys want a bass player?" So we were like, "Yeah, sure, man, let's do it." You know, I already knew he was a good guy because our old band had played, so we just kind of came together from being in the scene around the same kind of time, and all quite liked in similar kind of bands in sort of the Russian circles, 5 Days Static, Maybe She Will, that kind of vibe, and we just kind of took it from there, really. Yeah.
That's great. And you've certainly been no slouches either. You've had a fair few releases. You only need to go to your Bandcamp to see all the different things you've had out. And with, of course, another due as the time of recording, literally, tomorrow. What's the drive?
I've kind of always wanted to be somebody who always kind of has not necessarily a lot out there. For me, it's always about substance rather than quantity, but I think we've always had quite a creative sort of bounce off each other, and I think songs sometimes it takes a while to get traction for songs that we like, but then once we do, it comes quite quickly. Like I think Breakfast we wrote in maybe like 2 rehearsals. Like it took a little bit longer to kind of flesh out the finer details, but I think structurally it was there pretty quick. Like I'd say we're all pretty well versed with our own instruments, so we can kind of vibe off each other quite well, and we can sort of try things out, and every now and again Jack will say, "Hey, let's try that in 15/16 instead."
That's my only thing to add, General, let's make it worse.
Yeah. So I think when it comes to sort of having releases, I think we've always got stuff sort of lined up ready to go, and for me, I've always been more sort of an EP kind of guy rather than an album kind of guy. So I'm sort of a lot, rather than having a big release every sort of 2 years. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my motivation behind it. I don't know if these guys kind of agree with that, or yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and it's we've discussed before. It's always good to stay on the radar as well, I suppose. Just constantly release things. Make so people are aware that we're still writing. We're still working hard, sort of thing. So
yeah, it won't take you long to be forgotten. You don't release something or make any kind of noise in a matter of months, and in the modern world of music, you're just forgotten.
Yeah, this is it as well. I think. Interestingly though, Breck's Riff was originally not meant to be a single. Breck's Riff was originally meant to be on an album, and we'd originally recorded 3 songs, which were going to be coupled with a couple of our older releases, which weren't on EPs and stuff like that, which we were going to collaborate together into an album. And then when we looked at it, we were kind of like, well, actually, we kind of feel like we're 1 or 2 songs short, so let's write some more songs. And then the lockdown happened, so we couldn't get together, we couldn't rehearse. We were sort of still planning to get back into studio sort of around this kind of time-ish, really. And then that didn't happen, so we were kind of like that kind of theory of we need to stay relevant, we need to have something else out there. So we just kind of decided to release one of the singles, and Brexit was the agreement. There wasn't really kind of much else beneath it than that, really. It was meant to be on something bigger. We weren't allowed to do that, so Brexit out instead.
It's just adapting, isn't it, really?
Yeah, exactly.
So, you're going to have to do it, I'm afraid. Explain the title, because obviously it's called Brrraaains, which does, whether you like it or not, make your mind go to one thing. And being an instrumental band, no vocals obviously, it's hard to connect with how political of a song it is.
It's all to do with Witcher porn.
I was waiting for that.
I mean, I guess it kind of, I kind of don't really want to speak for everyone in the band, because I've got quite deep political values. And I think it was not necessarily about having, for me, Brexit was always about something that went on. And it was a big thing that was going on kind of in our lives when we were writing it. And it was a thing that went on for the better part of 2.5 to 3 years with the referendum, and then the leave, and then the constant cycle of prime ministers that went through who could get Brexit done. Regardless or not of where you sit on the fence with Brexit, whether you remain or you would leave, the thing we were noticing, or at least I was noticing a lot, I've talked to these guys about, was that people who you've known for years and people who you've been friends with for years, just because they had a completely polarising view of referendum, you're suddenly in heated, not even debates with them, you're in heated arguments with them. Because the whole thing of social media is you're now no longer open to other people's opinions, you only care about your own. And for me, I remember we got together in a room, I remember Dave being sort of quite irate about it, and he was just like, I just want to make music, man. I want everyone to get along and want to make music. I want to make riffs. And someone coined the term Brrraaains riff, I can't remember who it was, and it just kind of stuck. We kind of like, it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, there's a political value to it, but also on the back of it, I never kind of wanted to push one way or the other, because I feel like if we were kind of like, yeah man, well, completely remain, and you, if you'll leave, then you're wrong, here's a song that should prove it, then it just basically let people look at us and go, nah, I disagree, so I'm not going to listen to music. I mean, Andy used to be in a political acoustic with A4 as well, so I mean, I don't know where I kind of know where your guys' values kind of lie, but whether you see that song as well is another thing.
I think it's a better title than the working title, though. What did we call it initially? It was the soundscapey song we called it.
Oh.
Yeah, where the verses were like 4 times as long.
Yeah. A lot of our song titles tend to be quite like that as well. So like I always remember there was it this one? Was it this one and Chanel we had it? Was Chanel because the whole point of Chanel was it was called fast song.
Yeah, and then we had a slower song as well, which we called the slow song.
Oh, that was me fucking up the tempos again, I'm guessing. Yeah. I like that.
The whole thing, like, Chanel was it was always kind of this inner joke that we had 2 songs we were writing at the time. We had the fast song and the slow song. We'd always be like, oh, so let's play through the fast song. And then Jack was like, it's not really that fast, is it? So we just kind of thought, let's call it fast but not fast. And then that slowly translated into Schnell, Schnell, because that's German for fast but not fast. I mean,
brilliant.
I mean, we always kind of had this thing where we really have song titles that are completely serious, or completely stupid. So like A Million Invisible People is like a slight on the social media about having a voice and no one giving a shit. They don't only care about their own voice. And then we've got a song called Dumbo Mumbo, which is literally Dumbo's mom.
But that kind of works nicely because, let's be honest, on the face value, your band name Solars, and anyone just reading goes instrumental, post rock, post metal, however you want to describe that term. they're gonna expect you to be very, very serious. You're gonna be on stage, for example, and you're all gonna be wearing black, no brands, looking at your feet. That's an expectation. So it's kind of nice to have that. Oh, okay, there might be a little bit more here. Thanks, just based on those song titles.
Yeah, I mean, it's always kind of been a bit of a, without having lyrics, it's always kind of quite difficult. Like we've always had this, well, at least I've always had this kind of constant discussion, a lot more with sort of Dave, I guess, than these two as well. But like about that really serious title, so like Russian Circles have got really mysterious titles where they don't really have any sort of explanation behind it. And then you've got bands like Alpha Male Tea Party that have
they're the best.
Happy as Larry is dead. I think my favourite one is
You love hummus? No, it's what was it?
You eat hummus, of course you listen to
Yeah.
But so it's that kind of, which way do we go? And we've ended up doing a little bit of both, which
I like to think they start with a title.
Yeah.
And then just, we need some music for it now. And it's got to be
Yeah.
as good as the title. So.
This is it. But yeah, I've never
Good.
really known where to go.
Cool. Right.
Uh-oh.
We will get back to Brexit in a minute. Right up next, it's your horror movie choices. Chris, get us started then.
Ooh, horror movie.
Yeah.
It's got to be Alien.
Okay.
Alien, straight up. Huge fan of the Alien series. Maybe not so much Resurrection. But like for me, Alien was once again, it's one of those kind of things that I remember watching it as a kid, and it genuinely freaking me out. And it's something that I remember. So yeah, Alien for me, through and through. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's an excellent choice. You said maybe not Resurrection. Was that the point where the franchise lost you?
So interestingly, because of my age now compared to when the series came out, I never actually watched the original version of Alien 3, which I've heard through the grapevine isn't that great, whereas the version I've got is the David Fincher version.
Oh, cool.
So he did a director's cut that he released for the box set that came out in the mid 2000s. So I've only seen that one, and I quite like that. It's not as good as 1 and 2, but for me, I still held up to a trilogy of films, and then Resurrection was just kind of like weird, we need more money kind of thing. And even in the name Resurrection, it just kind of felt very forced, and I was like, no, I'm not on board with it.
It's of an era, that title. What about the kind of redirections been going into Prometheus and Covenant? Have you seen those?
Yeah, I quite liked Prometheus because I quite liked it as that idea of it being completely standalone. I like that idea of it being something set in the same universe but not necessarily being connected to the original film. Quite liked it's still being written by Ridley Scott, who I know at the point in time when, so I get really geeky and nerdy over this kind of stuff, but like I know when he originally wrote the script for Prometheus, he wrote 2 scripts. One was originally a direct sequel to Alien, and the other was that kind of set universe kind of thing, and the one that the studio picked up first was the Prometheus version, and I quite liked that it wasn't trying to be a sequel, and I felt that was almost more of an more easily accessible film without expectation. Alien Covenant, I think, was still good, but I don't know whether it was trying too much to shoehorn that series in off the back of the success of Prometheus. I enjoyed it, but for me, it was better than Resurrection, not as good as Aliens.
Yeah, perfect. Andrew?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Halloween, the original one. Mainly because when I watched it when I was younger, a lot younger, and it terrified me. And it gave me nightmares for years to come afterwards. So if that's not, a good horror film, then I don't know what is. I also enjoyed the remakes, the Rob Zombie ones. I thought they were really good and lived up to the original. They released a sequel to the original last year, was it? I was, I'm ignoring whether it'd be any good, but it actually turned out to be really good. So, I really enjoyed it.
You flew through all of that. I got to back up a little bit and go, right, first things first, what rough age were you then when you first saw Halloween?
20. No, 7.
7?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think I watched it on TV, just thinking, oh, this looks good.
Yeah, that's young. So what about, before we get to Rob Zombie, what about the actual sequels, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and H20?
I dismissed them, to be fair. I think I've seen each one once and then just never watched it again. Whereas the original, the first one, is one that I always go back to. So.
Okay, cool. And you said you like both the Rob Zombies, so Rob Zombie's Halloween and Halloween 2.
Yeah, I thought they were really good. I'll say, I don't know what to say.
No, that's cool. I was going to ask, is that kind of come from a love of Rob Zombie's other horror before that?
Not really, no. It's more for my love of the original Halloween film. I just think it did it justice.
Cool. That's excellent. All right, Jack, you're next.
Ooh. I was frightened by a lot of things as a kid, like you guys. It doesn't have to be a horror movie. RoboCop terrified me, but I shouldn't have seen that anyway.
Very adult.
Yeah. I think older horror movies are a bit scarier for me because they leave more to the imagination because there's no special effects, virtually none. Like, I remember being quite freaked out by the Amityville horror film when I was,
as a kid, those films freaked me out.
Yeah, because they're a lot more. I think when you're only left with your imagination to kind of fill in the gaps, makes it so much worse. It's like reading a Stephen King novel is much scarier for me than like watching a movie adaptation or something like that.
Yeah.
Just because you don't trust your own brain, it's not going to come out with anything good for you. But but yeah, I think maybe the Amityville horror, or even anything like that, anything old will scare the shit out of me. Like Terminator when it was stop motion. This is just horrible. CGI, nothing. Stop motion, terrifying.
I'm going to really like the way you put it. You are right. Nothing scary can be shown on screen that your own imagination can't potentially make worse. It's why people say at 3 a.m. they wake up in a bedroom and their pile of clothes on the chair suddenly looks like a killer. Imagination is wild.
And there's always that aspect of older films as well with the special effects and stuff. It's kind of like, there's more of a sense of fear rather than the sense of jumpiness, which I think cinema tends to push more for now.
There's like spoon-fed to you now, isn't it? And it's really forced, and it's just like, here's the scary part. It's just I don't really.
It's like the first Saw film. Like I absolutely love the first Saw film, but after that, I don't have much time for them. And it wasn't until I went back and watched the first one again and realised there's actually zero blood and gore in there. Even the point when he's cutting his foot off at the end, you realise that it doesn't actually show it. It shows his face in agony and then him crawling away. And there's an interesting. I was at a Q&A years ago with the writer and director of the original Saw film when the first Insidious film came out.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah.
I didn't know it was going to be a Q&A at the end. They just came out before the film. They just said, "Oh, just so you know, James Wan is here and he's going to do a Q&A." I was like, "Oh fuck, this is wicked." And someone at the end of the screening asked him the question of, "Do you think Insidious could become a franchise like Saw?" And he very structurally answered the question by saying, "I never intended Saw to become a franchise," had a big pause, and then said, "And then I got a lot of money." And to me, that culminizes Saw 2 through whatever the fuck it's on now. I don't even know anymore. After Saw 3, I'll stop watching. But I'm just like, that culminizes everything about those films. It was money, and that was all it was going to be. Whereas the first Saw film had zero budget, was filmed in like 30 days or something stupid, and it is genuinely petrifying sometimes because of that sense of fear that it gives you.
The psychological element, isn't it? Filling in the gaps that you don't get handed to you with CGI and spectacle and shit.
Exactly.
That's interesting. You said that as well because it was based on a short film. I think it was. So
Yeah.
the film was based on a short film, and then what was it? 7 sequels that came afterwards.
I don't know. Then there was like the whole side film. So they did a Jigsaw origin film and stuff like that, and I'm just like, they're really trying to just milk it dry. But that explains that there's always money in it. People go and see it because there's almost I've already ruined this franchise anyway, I might as well carry on seeing it.
It's really interesting that you would choose Saw to bring up, as I also grew up in exactly the same way, and in fact it had been Saw 2 where I checked out and was like, you know what, I don't really like where this is going. But in the last couple of months for the website, it was decided to, right, we're going to do the entire Saw franchise beginning to end, and we're going to culminate it with one of our definitive rankings where we take each one. There are separate reviews, but then we also put that into a separate ranking all the way up to Jigsaw as the one you mentioned, which is like a prequel/sequel. And watching them away from the idea of that whole disgusting franchise that just kept spitting out money, there are actually good stuff to be found there. Not great stuff, but good stuff. And I don't know, are you aware that there's another one coming out this year that's starring Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah, I did read about that.
Yeah.
Really?
I was kind of like, when I saw the cast for that, I was like, they're just trying to sell it with cast, not story.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it, exactly. That grabbed my attention. It's called Spiral. Watched the trailer and thought, cool, they're both quality actors. And then that Saw music starts to kick in, and I think I almost hit my head on the table and just pure like, no, you were kidding me. There you go.
I just want to see Samuel L. Jackson's character from Pulp Fiction involved in any kind of Saw situation.
The trailer plays up.
I got a key buried in my eye to you.
The trailer, if I remember it correctly, the trailer does play up to the whole motherfucker thing, and he goes to say it in the trailer, and then it gets cut, obviously, because it's a trailer.
Oh.
Yeah, so. But anyway, I love that you all chose classic horror. That's very reminiscent of what is a constant theme when it comes to the horror choices, is that although there are good horror movies released these days, there is nothing nowadays that seems to stand the test of time, even if it was released, say, 20 years ago. I think maybe the last one, maybe something like The Blair Witch, 1999, but, we're still talking 20 plus years ago.
I think the thing with Blair Witch as well was the guys who wrote it. So it's Joe Berlinger and I can't remember his guy's name. The only reason I know is because I'm a huge Metallica fan. I noticed those two guys who did that Some Kind of Monster documentary.
Of course.
So I actually read their book on making that, and they talk a lot about making the Blair Witch Project and the whole it being found footage. And that sort of, making people really believe it was, found footage in a forest, and, the cast weren't actually credited at all. There's no credits at the end of the film. They really sold it as this found footage thing. And then in the middle of filming the whole Some Kind of Monster thing, when James Hetfield goes into rehab, they take a break for a long period of time and make Blair Witch Project 2. And I'm like, did you really think that was going to have the same effect? And even they talk about, we can't use that same trick. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's something we did once. We can't sell that again. But that whole idea of the found footage, and it was like one of the first sort of camera film style, shaky cam type of things. And I think it was unique for its time. But after that, because of its using selling point of being the found footage, I think everything else that tried to mimic it fell flat because the technique they used was so effective. Having said that, I've never actually seen the Blair Witch. I've never seen the original or the remake.
Oh wow!
It's one of those sort of elusive films that sort of everyone's kind of told me is this, or this. So I think there's an expectation of I'm either going to love it or I'm going to hate it, and I'm not. I suppose trying to find time to watch it as well because the wife doesn't like either. And we get sort of very little time in the evening. We'd having a 3-year-old sort of sit and watch films. So when we get it in the evening, it is on my to-do list somewhere.
Right. You've prompted something now you've said that, and I want to ask the other two guys as well then. So I love when I hear someone say, look, I've not seen a movie that everyone expects you to have seen. Andrew, is there something that jumps to mind where the expectation and belief is that you must have seen this movie because it's so iconic? Is there one that you think you haven't seen?
Not film-wise, as I feel like I've watched everything. So it's usually me telling other people they need to watch films. But I'd say TV series, definitely. People always tell me to watch The Wire and that I'm missing out. It's the best thing they've ever seen. And I've watched the first episode, and that's as far as I got. And I was like, it's all right. They're like, oh, you need to keep on. I'm like, yeah, maybe one day.
Jack?
That's a hard question. 2 Girls, 1 Cup.
Oh no! Who else here has actually seen that?
Okay, I have seen that. Really, I'm I have never seen the Godfather trilogy, and don't really mind that I haven't seen it. I don't know if that's okay or not.
It's a big ask to dedicate the time that's needed to go, right, I'm going to do the Godfather trilogy today. That is your day.
Interestingly, someone from who I used to work with a couple of years ago lent me that trilogy, and I've still got it. And I watched the first one, and I was kind of like, yeah, it's all right. It's 3 hours long, where it felt like it could have ended at 2 possible closure points before the film, and I was a bit like, I don't know. I mean, for reading that was the best of the 3, I was kind of not really interested in what the other 2 had to say. So I never got around.
I'm just going to point out the first Godfather is one of my favourite films.
I noticed you looked a little offended. I noticed you looked like...
I never knew that about you guys.
Sorry?
Up until 6 months ago, I'd never seen Blade Runner. And up until 6 months ago, and I decided, right, let me do it. Oh, and I've seen 3 different versions now. 3? Is it 3? Yeah, there's like producer's cut and stuff like that. But yeah, up to 6 months ago, I was like, no, you know what, I don't really care. Sci-fi doesn't really interest me. It's one of those where I'm happy to put my hands up and go, I was wrong. That movie's awesome, you know?
I couldn't do it. I actually found it quite boring.
Oh, really?
Again,
Okay.
I don't know if that's okay or not, but yeah. And I'm not going to sit through the one with, what's his face, the remake. Who does it? Someone annoying, right?
Oh,
who is it?
Oh, that's gone.
It's not Total Recall guy, because that dude annoys the shit out of me too. But,
no, I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to find out now. It is.
Ryan Gosling? Someone like that?
Ryan Gosling, yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. One Expression.
I thought Blade Runner was it was okay at best. It was good. I didn't dislike it, but I didn't rate it either. But then again, once again, there's so many different versions of it. I had like the extended cut version or whatever it was. I don't know. Sometimes that version can make a difference, but I was just kind of like, yeah, it's all right. I enjoyed it. Don't really push people to watch it.
Yeah. Well, as you can tell, we could probably talk about movies all night long. But back to Brrraaains and the video. You have a video accompanying this track, correct?
Yes.
Would you be able? Well, by the time this is edited, the video will be out. So, what's the video about? What's you going for in it?
Very meaning video.
So, there's not really any sort of deep meaning. We were going to sort of look at doing some kind of other producer show with storyline or whatever. But once again, lockdown happened, and because of the knee-jerk reaction to deciding to put a single out based on not being able to do any more to the album, we were also quite limited in what we could do to the video. We decided to have a bit of fun a couple of months back and sort of put out a sort of playthrough video of another one of our songs called How to Tell a Story with No Words, which is funny because that's kind of like what a friend of mine said to me about our band. They were like, oh, your music's really cool, man. It's, you know, it's like you're telling a story with no words. And I was like, I like that song name. So we put out like this little playthrough video, and there was me being sort of quite serious, sat in front of like in now. Sort of Andy was sort of doing the same thing with Canastella. Dave was doing the same kind of thing, and we were sort of like, cool, Jack, let's see what you come up with. Obviously living in sort of an apartment makes it quite difficult to play along the drum. So decided to send me a video of him playing along like air drums whilst sat on the toilet. And that was the thing people talked about.
Actually worked.
I'm most comfortable there. I spend most of my time on there, so you know, gave the best performance I could have.
Someone told me their favourite part was when you flushed halfway through.
You don't want to block the toilet. You got to push halfway.
Yeah. So we kind of just carried on with that theme really, but with more of a lockdown style thing. So Dave's playing outside with some like a face mask on him and on his guitar headstock. I was sort of standing up a bit more. Andy's outside with the dog running and doing a poo in the background. And I was always kind of more interested in what Jack comes up with. And Jack is, I think you definitely place your personality on it. You basically, like, the song starts in the back of your head, and then the song starts, you can clearly hear drums, and Jack's very much like, oh, I need to wake up. And I mean, that's kind of it, really. We were kind of, I'm not really imagining video elements, so I kind of limited, but I'm also limited time with editing, so we just sort of thought, let's do a kind of thing, but let's try and make it sort of slightly comical. Jack, as the comedian in the band, I think managed to do that.
Oh, it's fantastic. Again, it's using your imagination, DIY, creative abilities during difficult times. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's good fun to do. I enjoyed sort of editing it together. It's not sort of too taxing because we're just playing along to the song, essentially miming and then syncing it up with video. It's just sort of good to get something visual out there. I think people tend to respond to things on YouTube more than they do on Spotify. I've noticed if we put a single out, the views on Bandcamp or Spotify will creep less quickly than the views on YouTube. I think there's an element of people like to look at stuff.
Visual aids, yeah.
Absolutely.
We should set up small puzzles that people can do to distract them from the fact that they're listening to a song and keep them on there or something like that.
Well, this is I wanted to try and do a thing where everybody had like a little sort of thing for people to look for in the back of each person's video. And one of the ideas I had was sort of having a little bit of a nod to other local bands in Birmingham and stuff. And I kind of did it in mind, but I don't think anyone else did it in there, so it's kind of like that didn't work. But it was kind of like, I always kind of wanted to have the idea of having something in the video for people to look for, to try and draw them, not necessarily even listen to the song, but there's something that people are paying so close attention to detail in the video, just because they're trying to, it's like a Where's Wally kind of. And I guess I'm kind of, or at least I'm not that imaginative with trying to find what that thing is. I guess I should let Jack do that one because he's the creative one.
I just have nothing to add of substance, so I'll do something retarded instead. So that's my thing. I'll go for that. Can't say that.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Ruined it.
Yeah.
See, I told you. That's my point entirely.
It's fine. Do you find it easy overall, I guess individually as well, to express yourself through instrumental music? As it's often one of the most difficult responses that people give, that when you haven't got a vocalist, normally a vocalist is very heavy on the idea that they will express the meaning behind a song, the lyrical content, be it I want to rage against religion or want to rage against politicians and so on. Obviously you don't have that, so you've got to express yourself through, be it a riff, hooks, drum beats and so on. Do you find that easy?
Yes and no. I mean, I think there's always been kind of things I want to try and get across with the song, and it's interesting. You look at things like Beethoven symphonies, and there's a story behind them, and it's always got that little sort of call and response and conversational elements to it. But it takes such an in-depth analysis to really unpick that. And I think nowadays people won't have. I think people just won't care about it enough. So I did try to do that for a short period of time, there's one song which we've kind of demoed a little bit, which kind of has like a story behind it, which is like a guy essentially realizing he's going to die, and that kind of idea of those emotions you feel towards death is sort of like that idea of denial, then fear, and then acceptance kind of thing. We'll see if that actually plays out when we sort of get back together and manage to get that. But there is elements to it, and there's elements that I think sometimes I just want to make riffs, and sometimes I want to try and put thought in people's heads with the song title more than anything else. We have got one song that does have vocals on. There was a point about 2 years ago where we were just sort of like, we wanted to try and get like a bit of a political message out, and we asked a friend of ours called Ben Curtis, who was the singer for Dave and Andy's old band, who's a phenomenal vocalist and probably one of the best lyric writers I've ever heard, and that includes professional bands. I think he's absolutely amazing with his imagery and the poeticism in the way he delivers them, but also very, very political. So I was kind of like, yeah, let's get him in. I think there's a bit of a message there, but I also don't really want to shove shit in people's faces constantly. I think it's more of a gentle manipulation which can work in your favour rather than a, we are political, this is what you should listen to.
Anything to add there, gents?
We are considering putting more over kind of, well, like voice samples and stuff like that. That's probably going to be a thing that we look into doing. I don't know how like in your face that will be either, but it would be good to get vocals put in there. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think vocals would really work over on music. I mean, say like the one with Ben.
Sorry, not like singing.
I think there's elements, there's songs that it would work, and I think there's songs it wouldn't work for. I mean, we've kind of explored the idea of voiceovers and stuff before, which I think we've always kind of looked at as logistically more difficult than we sort of know how to do. I don't think we're sort of that technologically minded in regards to our sort of live setup, so it's all it's quite straight. There's probably much easier ways to do half the shit we try and do. But then again, on the back of it as well, we also do have, so our live setup, if we've got time, so if we're headlining or playing first, we'll generally put on like a projector with videos on in the background, to kind of try and tell a little bit of the story. And they've always got a bit of a sort of social commentary on. Andy makes most of those videos, and he's always had sort of ideas about themes and stuff. So I think like Chanel was about sort of like, is that the waste in the ocean one? Yeah, so kind of like we've got a little bit of social commentary on, but also on the back of it, we've in songs in between, instead of doing that whole sort of "I was so and so," like between every song, we have like little changeover videos, and some of them have got a bit of a message. I kind of feel like that kind of job for you sometimes anyway. Yeah, it's one of those things. I kind of flitter between ideas of having songs with vocals and songs without. I guess it's one of those things.
I would certainly not be a champion to say, oh guys, you should have a vocalist because it's the only way you can express yourself. That's far from it at all. It's just, to me, it seems like a more desirable thing from a mainstream audience. But Chris, you mentioned being a big Metallica fan. What is considered one of Metallica's greatest songs? Orion. It is an instrumental song, and so on. So I don't believe or think that at all. In fact, even if, I don't know, let's say a band like Death Heaven, which does have vocals, but also has massive segments in a complete song, that is all instrumental and stuff like post and all that, and gets that across. I love the idea, Andrew, that you doing videos and potentially sending in a message of the track that way for people to follow along. Because if you are telling a story, it's great to see that and then hear the music going alongside it.
Yeah, definitely. It's also something to look out on stage. I mean, Chris once made a point that when you're watching a live band, the crowd mainly focus on the singer. So it was almost having these videos and this screen on stage was to sort of replace the singer as such.
And talking about that kind of on stage thing then, because I've obviously never seen you guys live, is there someone of all of you who's kind of accidentally taken on the frontman role, as you say, normally be a singer and then normally be front and so on, but when you don't have that, do you find you rotate positions and someone else is up front?
Generally me.
Yeah.
And I always feel really awkward because I was never sort of, I don't know, I'm one of those awkward people that when I'm presented with a room full of people, I'll say the most inappropriate thing possible. So I don't know, we always do have that at least one moment towards the end where we sort of say thank you to the crowd and sort of have that sort of, we have CDs for sale and this, that and the other. But I try really hard to divert that attention to the videos and try and have those sort of small videos in between tracks where we can retune or get ourselves ready for the next song or something like that. I try really hard to kind of detract away from that. But then also I'm quite mindful that I don't want to sort of, I've got a bit of a gripe about people who are singers or whatever, but never kind of address a crowd.
Okay,
a discussion that goes on with the wife. My wife's a big fan of The Cure. And I first saw The Cure and they played a 3.5 hour set. I knew 2 songs. So that was incredibly boring for me. And I've hated The Cure ever since. But I always made a comment on I've always made a comment on the fact that for 3.5 hours he never says anything, he never says hi, he never says how you doing, he never says thank you, good night, he just comes on and plays. And part of my wife's argument is she likes that, they just crack on with it. But then there's also that other side of it where people start telling you every small minute detail of their song before they play it. And I think there has to be a middle balance. I think there's almost a bit of respect for the audience. Addressing that.
Strumming the chords of the song that you're about to play. Well, this is a little ditty about Dave Grohl. He's guilty of that. I'll admit that.
Yeah, Grohl does it a fair bit actually.
That shit, horrible.
It comes with having earned your position in rock and metal. That it doesn't matter what you do. If you're someone like Dave Grohl, it don't matter what he does. He could come out there and basically talk for an hour and people will still say it was the best gig of their life. This kind of the station they've reached now. So live, what's the biggest barrier you find playing live?
I think the biggest piece of feedback we get live is exactly kind of what you said earlier, which was like the last gig we played at Dead Wax in Birmingham. We played with this metal band who were really good, whose name I actually can't remember. But the first thing, I went up and I said, well done afterwards, sort of like, I genuinely really dug them. They've had a very much, it sounded a lot like Wage War. And I remember going up and saying, I really loved it. I'm a huge fan of Wage War and you sound like it. He was like, oh yeah, they're one of my favourite bands, so I'll take that as a compliment. And he turned around to me and said, oh, you guys are really good too. You need a singer though.
Oh.
And I was a bit like, it seems to be a common thing that people kind of say that, but I quite like not having a singer because it's something that people remember. Even if you're on a lineup of bands with other singers and stuff, they always remember you as the band that didn't have a singer. So regardless or not of whether they liked it, there's an element of remembrance there, which I think is quite sort of like the seeds of something that to talk about to other people. I think the creative barrier is going to be having a projector on stage. But in terms of the audience response, it's not having a singer. So I think people expect you to have something, but with us, we also try and overdo things with the videos and projector screen, and it's quite difficult to do if you're third in a band with a 4-band bill and you've got a 50-minute changeover. They take 5 minutes to come off stage, which is fine, but then you've only got 10 minutes to set up and you've got a projector screen and a projector and then the laptop to hook up, and then there's audio going to the laptop through the sound desk, and all of a sudden that 10 minutes goes very quickly, and you've got to cut half your set off and you try to put a few pretty videos. And there's always that kind of fine line, but then if we don't do it, people remember us as a band that needed a single. So it's that kind of middle balance.
You guys got anything you want to add there?
No, I completely agree. That's definitely the message we have is when someone's we get it all the time, don't we? It's good, but it needs some vocals. It's like, yeah, you don't really get it.
Thing is, what you were saying, Chris.
A lot more. Sorry.
Oh no, I was going to say.
You risk a lot more
Chris,
when
you're trying to get that. Not specifically, you haven't got a single because you're trying to get noticed, but it does add to it. And you were vying for shelf space in a scene, a metal scene, a UK metal scene, and then localize it to Birmingham, which has a very strong underground metal scene. So you are trying to vie for that shelf space. Anything, even if it be we don't have a vocalist, or we do projector videos, or our drummer doesn't wear bloody trousers during the gig. It's the small things that make the difference.
Yeah, I think there is an element of that. I think there is a bit more of a scene for the sort of post-rock thing coming about a lot more. Like there's other bands in Birmingham who do it. Like there was a point a couple of years ago where we were playing a gig, and Carlo from Birmingham Promoters once I asked him if he had any sort of available gigs for us, and he's one of the few promoters out there that have actually said he likes to try and keep similar bands on the bill. Most of the promoters that I've worked with are generally just sort of like, yeah, you sell tickets, you'll do. It's just act and this death metal band, and it's sort of like, I mean, it kind of works in one way because once again, people remember you as a band without a singer. There was with a band without a singer, but Carlo kind of said to us he wanted to put on similar bands to us, which gives us that opportunity to kind of reach out to other bands, not just in Birmingham but around the country. So there's some guys in a band in Wales before who, they're really nice guys, and brought them down to Birmingham recently. We would have originally been playing in Cardiff with them last week last Friday, but obviously coronavirus. And it's things like we had a band drop out on a gig for us at Clapper, like when we first did it, and all of a sudden there just happened to be a guy that started work that month with us, and he was sort of like, oh, you need a band for a gig? Oh, my band will do it. And I was like, I don't think you'll get it, man. It's instrumental. And he was like, oh yeah, we're instrumental. I was like, what are the fucking odds? Like he was like this sort of post-rock shoegaze band, a bit more like sort of Mogwai. They were called Man Punches Cloud. Really good, really great guys, really awesome band. And it was just sort of that dumb luck of, I thought it was this really niche market, and all of a sudden you realise how many more people are doing that as well. So it is difficult to fight for that space, but then there's also even more difficult to fight for that space when other people are doing the same thing as you.
Absolutely. Right, guys, music choices then. One record, it could be an EP, album, live album. Heck, it could even be a live DVD if you really want. We'll get started with Chris, of course.
I want to go with Metallica's And Justice for All.
Oh, interesting.
That is, in my opinion, the best Metallica album. Only by a margin. And yes, the production is awful because of the lack of bass. But for me, the songs are better. Songs like Blackened, songs like Dyer's Eve, One, Harvester of Sorrow. That riff in Harvester of Sorrow is, it doesn't matter. You don't need to drop tune when you can write heavy riffs like that. And it's E standard. And for me, that's why And Justice for All is the best Metallica album.
I love your argument. It's very hard to disagree with you. Metallica are the band, the reason why I like metal. So they're always an iconic band for me. I love And Justice for All. But you will know, and the fact that you've almost readied your defence, that to say it's the best Metallica album is always going to get people going, what, really? The best? I mean, it's a great album, but Master's there, and some people even write.
I think the only thing for me personally is I think the middle of Master of Puppets kind of tails off a bit. I don't know. Like, I think there's that moment before Leper Messiah that just kind of is a bit, yeah, it's good, but it's not great. And I think the rest of the album is great, but there's that one or two songs kind of in the middle that are just good. And I think that's where Justice is better, because for me, they're more consistently great. I mean, that's my opinion, and I know people are always going to argue Master is the best one, or they'll talk about the Black Album being the best one that got them into it.
Same tanker.
There's controversy.
Do you know what? I like St. I genuinely do.
I thought a lot of it was good.
I remember when it sound, quite enjoyed it.
I think they got a lot of backlash for that because of trying to sound like a new metal band. And actually, I think the songs are quite good, but I think there was a lot of purist people in the Metallica fan base that are like, you're not, you know, a metal band anymore, and this comes off the back of Load and Reload, which once again I think is a good album for reasons. If you took the Metallica name off it, I think that album would have been huge at that point in time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the snare sound as well. Take that away, and it'd be a pretty good album.
That snare.
Listen carefully, that snare is still ringing somewhere.
You know when you hear that ringing in your ears, it's just the Metallica snare.
That's not tinnitus.
Fantastic. Right, Andrew, now that you've been told bass is unimportant according to Chris, what is yours?
I'm going to go with White Pony by Deftones.
Oh, excellent choice.
I mean, Deftones are my favourite band, and I bought that album about 20 years ago now it came out, I think. And yeah, I listened to it and they instantly became my favourite band. I'd only heard one song before that, which was Back to School, which actually didn't even appear on the album I bought. That came out later, apparently, anyway. But yeah, I think that album, you know, it combines the heavy aggression that Deftones have with the melodic and nice sound that they have as well. It's almost like two music genres that I like combined into one. So for that reason, yeah, I'll go for Deftones.
Are you still Deftones fan now?
Yes.
Would you agree with me when I say that they've been doing the best work of their career in the last 2 to 3 albums?
No.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
I like it, but I wouldn't say it's their best.
Okay, but White Pony, yeah?
Yeah, I wasn't too big on the last album they released. What was it? Gore.
That's it, yeah.
It was good. Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. It just wasn't as good as their previous stuff.
Have you seen him live?
Yes, many times.
And I take it you enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to go see them live at Download this year. They're playing on the Friday, so I was going to get a day ticket. And me and my friend, we just arranged it. We were like, yes, let's do it. Week after, it was locked down.
2021.
Yeah, hopefully.
Jack, yourself.
I think the album that probably got me most into music and drumming is probably just going to be Queens of Stone Age, Songs for the Deaf.
Okay.
Yeah, it just it's, you know, it had everything that I kind of like about rock music. It's, you know, it's got metal elements, it's got more kind of melodic elements. It's the drumming is obviously Dave Grohl, so that kind of shaped who I was gonna rob in terms of drumming. Yeah, it's just, I love anything generally that Josh Homme comes out with. I think he's got a very unique approach to songwriting and guitar playing. I don't really know anyone that plays guitar like him. Maybe he's not very good, I don't know, but like I think
he's good. So your drum style, you say you took inspiration then from Dave Grohl overall, but specifically from the Queens of the Stone Age, Songs for the Deaf.
Yeah, I think so. That was kind of like the era where I think his drumming, all of it is pretty amazing on that. Obviously, you've got stuff like No One Knows, which is probably the most air-drummed song, or one of, from that kind of era. But, yeah, it was around that time. Although that was before I was drumming. But, you know, I just remember that sticking with me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really particularly into rock or anything like that when I was, you know, like 11 or however old I was when it came out. But I just remembering that song.
It laid the blueprint. It laid the blueprint clearly in the back of your mind that was going to be useful way down the line.
Yeah, definitely. an indelible stain that cannot be removed.
That is everything. However, there is a secret. One more thing you all have to choose. We will get to it in a minute. It's something we always do at the end of the videos. It's not hard. Don't worry. You won't have to think too much. But before then, what is a realistic goal for Solars over the next couple of years? Something you would like to achieve?
Fly Art Tangent. For
yeah?
me,
Finally released our album.
yeah. For me, the whole idea of Soul has started at Art Tangent. So for me, it's playing that festival is the culmination of everything I want to achieve for this band. Like it's getting bigger every year, so it's kind of being able to play on the same bill as bands like Opeth and Meshuggah and other bands I've looked up to, like Russian Circle, 65 maybe you will, Nordic Giants. For me, that's my ultimate thing for the band.
Yeah. Band uniforms, dungarees.
Andrew, have you got something different?
Yeah, finally release our album that we've been working on for the last 2 years or so. It'd be nice to finally get that out and about and have people listen to it.
I love it. It's all not just realistic, but it's all more than doable. I can't see any reason why all of those goals, including dungarees, can be achieved. As always, at the end, for people who are watching who may be never even heard of you, what can they do to help support you in these times? Whether it be, beyond just going, okay, we'll buy your music of Bandcamp. What would you ask?
I don't know. For me, I still find it amazing when someone comes up to you and tells you they genuinely like your music, like enough to pay their money for it. The fact that all our music is available for free on Bandcamp if you want, because we've got a pay what you want system for it. And the fact that people have the option to have it free, but still choose to pay us money sometimes to help, which we don't take money out of the band and pay ourselves. We put all money back into things like recordings and videos and DVDs and stuff like that. So for me, that's always going to be it. I'm still amazed whenever people want to pay for our music. So that's always going to be it for me. Like, support for me is turning up the shows and buying the CDs. Just the standard shit, really.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. Help spread the word as well, maybe.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Yeah, like give it a listen if you like it. Awesome. If you don't, oh well.
Yep. And of course, new single Brrraaains 5th of June, available everywhere.
But yeah, so it's out on Spotify. So it's out on, I think it's like 32 different streaming services. I can't even name 32 different.
There aren't 32 surely.
It's on them. There is. So it's I'll go on to the distributor which we work with, which is Disso Music. There's like labels that different ones. So on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube Premium, Deezer, TikTok, Tidal. It's out everywhere. Obviously, our direct support is always from Bandcamp. That's where we sort of take the direct support from, really. So it's out everywhere.
There you go. Right, before you go, the other item. Simple, one each. It is a luxury item. Something you have said to us before we sail away that you cannot live without. Please let us have our luxury item. Chris.
See, I kind of partly want to be a sycophant and sort of say my wife, but that would also,
I should have said.
That would also objectify her as an item, which she'll kill me.
A luxury item.
I'll make it easy for you. You're not allowed to bring a person. You're not the first person to try that trick.
My wife's just knocking at the window. She's heard me just say that as well. Bonus points. It's going to be my Telecaster. So it's my lovely baby here. This is my Telecaster FMT 2015. I love it. It's just everything. It's everything. It's the thing that as soon as the house is on fire, it's the first thing I'm going to grab.
You're the first member of a band, and bear in mind, we've done quite a few of these now. You're the first member of a band to say they'll bring their instrument.
I don't have many worldly possessions. I kind of have sort of, I like playing games, I like reading books. But for me, I need an instrument of some kind, and the first one I go to pick up whenever I want a noodle or for a bit is always my Telecaster.
Gorgeous. Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to choose one thing, it would probably be my PlayStation. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could live without it. I accidentally spilled some water on it last year. Yeah, a whole pint as well.
Oh!
Good half an hour, and I was so worried. My whole life ended for a good half an hour. I had to put in my head, like, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to go into my savings and buy one straight away. So yeah, I'll have to go with that.
Perfect. Jack?
I'll stick with the theme and say I'm bringing the toilet, just because I know I'm gonna be there a lot, and it's my safe space, my meditative shrine. I'll keep that.
And on that note, we're off. Gentlemen, Chris, Andrew, Jack, thank you very, very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Oh, sorry, we lost you for a sec there, I think, Carl.
Oh, no worries. I was just saying, Chris, Andrew, Jack, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
No worries, thank you for having us, man. It's been enjoyable.
Man.
Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon and help us out over there. That's patreon.com/GBHBL, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?